Welcome back to the deep dive. We have um, we have a massive stack of research on the desk today, and honestly, it's a bit confrontational.
Yeah, it really is. It's the kind of research that makes you look at your pay stub and get a little angry, to be honest.
Right. Because the central argument here isn't just about, it's not the usual how to make more money advice. It's an argument that the fundamental operating system most of us use, which is trading our time for a paycheck, is mathematically broken.
Broken is probably the polite word. The sources we're looking at call it a trap, specifically the linear income trap. And once you see the math behind it, you really can't unsee it. It explains why so many smart, hardworking professionals feel like they're running on a treadmill. You're sweating buckets, but the scenery never changes.
And we're going to spend this entire deep dive breaking out of that trap. We're unpacking a concept called the architecture of nonlinear prosperity, which sounds very academic, almost like a college thesis, but the end goal is pretty wild. We're talking about the rise of the zero-employee unicorn.
That is the North Star of this whole conversation, the zero-employee unicorn.
Right, because a unicorn, in tech speak, is a billion-dollar company. Usually that implies thousands of employees, a massive headquarters, HR departments, the whole nine yards. But the sources are arguing that we are approaching a reality where a billion-dollar valuation could be held by a company with exactly one full-time employee, the founder.
It sounds like science fiction, or honestly a scam, but when you look at the convergence of technologies we have right now, it's not only possible, it's inevitable. We are moving away from the organization era where you needed bodies to scale to the super individual era where you need systems to scale.
So the mission for this deep dive is to figure out how we actually make that shift.
Right.
How do you, the listener, decouple your revenue from your human labor? We aren't just talking about working smarter. We are talking about a structural economic shift from equilibrium, which is trading time, to disequilibrium, which is capturing value.
Exactly. We need to dissect the physics of wealth, the absolute death of the billable hour, and the specific AI systems like actual code you can build today to replace a staff of 20.
Okay, I want to get to the super individual and the robots, but we have to start with the problem. You mentioned the linear income trap. Most of us feel this intuitively, but let's look at the math.
Yeah, so let's go back to high school algebra for a second. I promise it won't be painful. The equation for most professional income is y equals ax plus c.
Oh man, I'm having flashbacks to graphing calculators. Let's unpack those variables.
Right, so y is your total income. That's the big number we want to maximize. X is the input, which for 99% of the population is time, hours worked. And A is your rate, so your hourly wage or your salary broken down by the hour. So income equals rate times time.
It seems logical enough, right? If I work more, I make more. If I get a raise, I make more. What's the trap?
The trap is that the variable x your time is strictly bounded. There is a hard biological ceiling. There are only 24 hours in a day. You have to sleep, you have to eat, hopefully you want to see your family. You cannot work 1,000 hours in a day no matter how much espresso you drink, so your x is completely capped.
And if one side of the equation is capped?
The result is capped, period. You can try to increase at your rate. You can go to law school, become a brain surgeon, become a high-powered consultant. But even then, the market puts a ceiling on that too. Nobody pays $1 billion an hour. This is an equilibrium model. It assumes a static world where you are trading a finite resource, time, for a finite reward.
It's strictly linear. 1 unit of sweat equals 1 unit of money. And if you stop sweating, the money stops.
That's the terrifying part. If X goes to 0, if you get sick, if you burn out, or if you just want to take a month off to travel, E goes to 0. Instantly, the machine turns off. You are the engine, and if the engine stops, the car stops.
That really highlights the fragility of it. It's not just about not getting rich. It's about being incredibly vulnerable to life happening.
Precisely. Now contrast that with nonlinear dynamics. This is the world of disequilibrium. In this model, the inputs do not equal the outputs. You might write a piece of code or record a piece of content. That's your input. It might take you 10 hours. But the output, the revenue, isn't tied to those 10 hours. That code can run 1,000,000 times. That video can be watched by 1,000,000 people.
So the input is fixed. I spent 10 hours. That's it. But the output is potentially infinite.
Or at least exponential. This is what the sources call concave returns. You're looking for opportunities where a single decision or a single asset creation continues to generate value without you being present. That is the architecture of nonlinear prosperity. You build the machine and the machine runs without you.
Okay, so the goal is to move from being the engine to being the engineer who builds the engine.
That's a really great way to put it, yes.
So how do we actually do that? The research points heavily to the work of Naval Ravikant. He's sort of the philosopher king of Silicon Valley, and his breakdown of leverage is foundational here.
It is. Naval famously said, "Fortunes require leverage. Business leverage comes from capital, people, and products with no marginal cost of replication." He breaks it down into 4 specific forms, and understanding the difference is crucial because some are old world and some are new world.
Let's start with the old world stuff, the stuff our parents probably aimed for.
The oldest form of leverage is labor leverage. This is what built the pyramids. It's what built the Ford factory. It's hiring people. If I hire 10 people, I have leverage because their work benefits me. I can get 10 times as much done.
But Nabal seems to think this is actually the worst kind of leverage.
It's definitely the most difficult. It has incredibly high friction. People are complex. They have egos. They get sick. They have bad days. They need management. They need motivation. And critically, it is permissioned.
What does that mean in this context, permissioned?
To have labor leverage, you need someone to agree to work for you. You need permission to lead them. And usually you need the capital to pay them. You need permission from the market or a bank to build that hierarchy.
Okay, so that's labor, high friction, high maintenance. What's the second one?
Capital leverage. This is using money to make money. This is the world of Warren Buffett. If I have $100 million, I can invest it in a factory or the stock market and make a massive return without lifting a finger. That is incredible leverage.
But again, there's a massive catch.
The catch is you need the $100 million, or you need someone to give it to you. It is highly permissioned. You need a bank, a venture capitalist, or a rich uncle. There are gatekeepers everywhere. I can't just decide tomorrow to deploy $100 million in capital leverage. I have to ask for it.
Right, I can't just walk into a bank and say, give me leverage. They'll laugh me right out of the building.
Exactly. But then we cross the chasm into the 21st century, and we find the 2 forms of permissionless leverage. This is where the game completely changes for the solopreneur. The first is code leverage.
The army of robots.
Naval literally calls it the superpower. Code is an army of robots that does exactly what you tell it to do. It doesn't sleep, it doesn't complain, it doesn't ask for a raise, and it definitely doesn't form a union.
And the economic magic here is the cost of replication, right?
Yes. The marginal cost of reproduction is near 0. If I write a software program, it costs me time to write it once. But if 1,000 people use that software, what does it cost me to serve the 1,000th person? Basically nothing, a fraction of a cent in server costs.
And it's permissionless because
You don't need a boss, you don't need a bank, and you don't need a permit. You just need a laptop. You can build an asset that works for you 24/7 without asking anyone's permission. No one can stop you from learning Python and deploying an app.
that is true freedom right there. And the fourth one,
Media leverage. This is what we are doing right now. This is content, a blog post, a YouTube video, a deep dive audio track. You record it once, that's the fixed input. But it can reach millions of people. It scales via software.
it's the exact same physics as code.
Exactly the same. And it is also permissionless. You don't need a TV network to greenlight your show anymore. You don't need a publisher to print your book. You just hit publish.
This really democratizes wealth creation, doesn't it? It feels like the barriers to entry have just totally collapsed.
They have. And it's not just about one piece of tech. It's about a historical convergence. The sources describe this as the solopreneur's trifecta.
Walk us through that history a bit.
Sure. So in the 1970s, we got the personal computer. That gave the individual computing power the ability to process information that used to require a massive corporate mainframe. Then in the 90s, we got the internet. That gave the individual global distribution, the ability to send that information anywhere for free.
So those were the first 2 legs of the stool.
Right. But there was still a huge skill gap. To use code leverage, you had to be a skilled developer. To use media leverage effectively, you had to be a talented creator with production skills. Now, in the 2020s, we have AI. And AI is the final piece. It is digital labor. Because before, if you had an idea for an app but couldn't code, you were stuck. Now, AI can literally write the code for you. If you had an idea for an article but couldn't write well, AI can help you draft and structure it.
So AI bridges the gap between the idea and the actual execution.
It unlocks the leverage for everyone.
Right.
We are moving from the era of the organization to the era of the super individual. The individual now has the leverage that used to be strictly reserved for giant corporations. You can have a marketing department, a dev team, and a support staff all running on a server for $20 a month.
That is a massive shift. Okay, so we have the leverage, we have the tools. But if we're still charging by the hour, we're still stuck in that linear trap, right? Like even if I use AI to do my work in 1 hour instead of 10, if I bill for 1 hour, I just lost a ton of money.
You've hit on the efficiency penalty. This is exactly why the second pillar of this architecture is the economic engine, specifically pricing and productization. We really have to talk about the death of the billable hour.
It seems counterintuitive at first. If I get faster and better, I should make more money. But the hourly model actively penalizes competence.
It incentivizes inefficiency. Think about it. If you hire me to fix your sink and it takes me 10 hours, I get paid for 10 hours. If I'm a master plumber and I fix it in 10 minutes, I get paid for 10 minutes. The market is basically telling me, be slow, be incompetent.
That is a completely perverse incentive.
It is. But more importantly for the solopreneur, it's a scalability trap. To double your revenue in an hourly model, you have to double your hours, which you physically can't do, so you have to hire more people. Now you're right back to labor leverage with all its headaches. You're building a traditional agency just to scale your income.
So what's the alternative? How do we break this link?
Value-based pricing. You stop charging for the input, the time, and you start charging for the output, the actual result.
Can you give me a concrete example of this working in the real world from the sources?
Sure. One of our sources mentions an AI native agency. They grew to $2.8 million in revenue with just 8 people. They didn't charge hourly. They charged a percentage of the incremental value they created for the client.
How does that actually work in practice?
Let's say they go to an e-commerce company and say, we will install an AI system that recovers abandoned shopping carts. If that system generates an extra $100,000 for the client, the agency takes 30% of that upside.
So they make $30,000 and the client makes $70,000 they wouldn't have had otherwise.
Exactly. It aligns the incentives perfectly. The better the agency performs, the more they make. And the client is happy because they're making more money too. And crucially, the client doesn't care if it took the agency 5 minutes or 5 months to write the code. They only care that the money is in the bank.
But to do this, you need a way to quantify value. You need to be able to look a client in the eye and say, this is worth $30,000. And that brings us to Alex Hormozi's value equation.
Yeah, this is a brilliant little formula for figuring out what you can actually charge. It's widely cited in the research because it breaks value down into 4 very clear variables.
I love a good formula. Let's break it down.
The formula is a fraction. The numerator, the top part, is what we want to maximize. It is dream outcome multiplied by likelihood of achievement.
Okay, let's unpack that top half, dream outcome.
How big is the promise? Are you helping them save $10 or make $1 million? Are you helping them lose 2 pounds or get a 6-pack for their wedding? The bigger the dream, the higher the value.
Right, and likelihood of achievement.
Do they believe you can actually do it? This is where social proof, testimonials, and guarantees come in. If I say, I can make you a millionaire, but I'm living in my mom's basement, the likelihood is near 0. So the value is 0. But if I have a track record of doing it 10 times, the likelihood is high.
So we want to blow up the numerator, give them a huge promise they believe in. Now the denominator, the bottom part, is what we want to minimize.
Correct. The denominator is time delay multiplied by effort and sacrifice.
Time delay.
How long does it take to get the result? People pay for speed. We are deeply impatient creatures. If I can get you the result tomorrow instead of next year, the value skyrockets. This is why faster shipping costs more. This is why liposuction costs way more than a gym membership. It's faster.
And finally, effort and sacrifice.
How much work does the client have to do? If it's done for you, the value is high. If they have to watch a 20-hour course and do it themselves, the value is much lower. People are lazy, or rather, they're busy. If you can remove the effort entirely, the value goes through the roof.
So if I can promise a huge outcome, guarantee it happens, deliver it instantly, and require 0 effort from the client,
then you have a grand slam offer. You can charge almost anything you want. And notice, nowhere in that equation is hours worked.
it's completely irrelevant. The client doesn't care if it took you 5 minutes or 5 years. They care about the result.
Precisely. And this leads directly into the concept of productized services. This is how you operationalize that value equation. A productized service is when you take a service like design or copywriting or consulting and you package it like a product sitting on a shelf.
So instead of saying, I'm a designer, hire me for $100 an hour, I say, what?
You say, I will design your brand identity kit logo, fonts, colors for a fixed price of $1,000 delivered in 48 hours. Fixed scope, fixed price, fixed timeline.
It's like a set menu at a restaurant versus hiring a personal chef.
That's a perfect analogy. A personal chef is wonderful, but it's a total nightmare to scale. Every client has different allergies, different tastes, different dinner times. You're constantly scrambling. It invites scope creep.
Oh man, scope creep is the absolute silent killer of service businesses.
It really is. The client says, hey, can you just quickly change this? Can you just add that tiny feature? And because you're charging hourly or on some loose retainer, you say yes, and suddenly your margins evaporate. When you have a set menu, the kitchen your business knows exactly what ingredients they need. They can prep in advance. It streamlines all your operations.
The sources list quite a few models for this. There's the subscription model, like Design Joy.
Design Joy is the poster child for this whole movement. It's one guy, Brett Williams, doing millions a year. He charges a flat monthly fee around $5,000 for unlimited design requests.
Unlimited. How does he not just get buried in work?
That's the genius of the constraint he built in. He only works on one request at a time. You can have 50 things in your queue, but he's only doing number one. He turns it around in 48 hours. Then he moves to number two. It's highly productized. No meetings, no long discovery calls, just Trello tickets.
That's wild. Millions a year with no employees just by putting strict boundaries on the service. What are the other models? The sources listed 7 in total.
Yeah, so besides subscription, you have fixed price packages. That's the $1,000 logo we just talked about. Very clear deliverables. Then there's the DIY plus done-for-you hybrid.
How does that one work?
You sell a template for, say, $99. But you offer an upsell where you will customize it for them for $499. It captures 2 different segments of the market.
Smart. Okay, what's the fourth one?
One-time setup plus support. You build a custom website for $3,000, which is the setup, and then you charge $199 a month to host and maintain it. Recurring revenue.
Got it. And the fifth?
Strategy plus implementation. You sell the roadmap first, like an audit. You charge them to tell them what's wrong, and then you sell them the execution to fix it.
That makes sense.
Sick.
White label services. This is doing the work for other agencies, but under their brand name. You're the ghost in the machine.
And the last one, staffing or dedicated team. You basically rent out a specific person or a fraction of your time for a fixed monthly fee. The key across all 7 of these is that every package is strictly defined. You aren't reinventing the wheel for every single client.
Okay, so we have the leverage and we have the pricing models. Now we need to know what we are actually selling. What is the vehicle here? The sources get really specific about AI systems.
This is where the rubber meets the road. And the advice here is very counterintuitive for a lot of tech-savvy people. The instinct is to be a generalist, to say, I run an AI agency. I can do anything. I can prompt engineer your whole life.
Right. I can fix your entire business with ChatGPT.
Exactly. That is hard mode. You're competing with everyone on the internet. You're literally competing with OpenAI themselves. The smart mode is to niche down completely. Be a specialist. Don't sell AI. Sell a specific solution to a specific painful problem for a specific type of business.
The sources specifically mention aiming for AI clueless businesses. Plumbers, roofers, dentists. Not tech startups in San Francisco.
Precisely. Tech startups have engineers. They know this stuff already. A roofer does not. A roofer is drowning in admin work. They are out on a roof, missing phone calls. They are losing real money because they can't get back to leads fast enough. That is where the massive opportunity is.
So what are the specific systems we can build for them? The sources highlight 4 in-demand systems.
Right. Number 1 is the speed to lead system.
Walk me through that.
Data shows that if a local business doesn't respond to a lead within 5 minutes, the chance of closing that deal drops by like 80%.
80%, that's huge.
It's massive. But think about the plumber. He's under a sink, covered in grease. He can't answer the phone. So you build an automation. When a lead comes in from the website, an AI agent instantly texts them, hey, thanks for reaching out. What's the issue? It qualifies them and then alerts the plumber. It completely solves that drop-off rate.
That is incredible value. You're literally putting money back in their pocket that they were just losing to the void.
Exactly. You charge them for that recovered revenue. System number 2 is 24/7 SMS or WhatsApp booking, an AI agent that lives on their messaging apps and books appointments directly into their calendar while the business owner sleeps.
Simple but effective. System 3.
A social media DM bot. It automatically responds to common questions like, what are your hours? Or do you serve this zip code on Instagram and Facebook?
And the 4th one.
The AI receptionist. This is voice AI. It answers missed phone calls, it can take messages, or even have a conversation and book appointments over the phone. For a business that relies on the phone ringing to survive, a missed call is a missed paycheck. If you can stop that bleeding, they will gladly pay you.
And the beauty of this is, once you build this system for one plumber, you can sell the exact same code base to a plumber in the next town over.
That is code leverage in action. You build it once, you sell it 100 times. The marginal cost is near zero.
But how do we actually get these plumbers to talk to us? I mean, cold calling.
The sources recommend a very specific cold outreach strategy, but it's not spam. It's treating cold email as your digital sales force.
How does that work without being spammy?
You build a highly targeted list, say 500 roofers in Texas. You don't just blast them saying, buy my AI stuff. You launch test campaigns. You test the 4 offers we just discussed. Maybe roofers don't care about Instagram DM bots, but they are absolutely desperate for the AI receptionist. You let the market tell you what it actually wants.
It's scientific. You're A/B testing your way into a viable business model.
Exactly. You aren't guessing in a vacuum. You're collecting real data.
Right.
Once you find the winner, the offer that actually gets replies, you double down on that one specific thing.
I really want to look at a real-world example of this whole journey, because sometimes the frameworks feel a bit abstract. The sources go into detail about Justin Welsh. He's basically the patron saint of the modern solopreneur. He built a $10 million business with 0 employees. How did he actually do it?
His journey is a perfect case study in everything we've just discussed. And he didn't start with $10 million. He started with severe burnout. He was an executive working huge hours, and he realized the linear trap was literally killing him. He famously had a panic attack on the floor of his apartment.
Man, that's a visceral wake-up call. So what was his step 1 out of that trap?
Step 1, they call noise to signal. He didn't even have a product yet. He just started posting on LinkedIn every single day, sharing what he knew about sales and building teams. He treated attention as a primary asset. He was building media leverage before he had anything to sell.
And then what?
Step 2 was service first. He started with a service, which was consulting. This is the bridge phase. He used a high-touch permission service to learn exactly what people in his market were struggling with. But he didn't stay there. He applied step 3, what he calls the hell yes filter.
I love this concept. He turned down $100,000, didn't he?
He did. He had a consulting gig offer for $100,000, but it required travel, meetings, and being in an office. It was essentially just a high-paying job. He said no because it wasn't a hell yes for his new lifestyle. He prioritized time over raw revenue.
That takes a lot of guts. But saying no to that freed him up to do the next step, the productization.
Right. Step 4, productization. He noticed that in his direct messages, people were asking the exact same questions over and over. How are you growing so fast on LinkedIn? So instead of answering them one by one, which is manual labor, he built a course, the LinkedIn Playbook. He sold it for $50.
$50 seems pretty low for a guy who was a high-paid executive.
That brings us to step 5, the trust tripwire. The price was low enough that it was an absolute no-brainer for his audience. It built trust. Over time, as he proved the value, he raised his prices. But that $50 product made $10,000 in its first month. That was his proof of concept for permissionless leverage.
And then he scaled it using this content multiplication strategy.
Okay.
Step 6, the 5-12-3 rule.
This is pure operational efficiency. He says one idea must grab attention in 5 seconds, be relevant for 12 months, so it's evergreen, and work across 3 different platforms. He writes a newsletter, then turns that into LinkedIn posts, then turns those into tweets. He isn't on a content hamster wheel. He's building a permanent library of assets.
And step 7 is the newsletter itself, moving people off rented land.
Exactly. Moving his audience from social media to his own email list, the Saturday Solopreneur, and the final result of these 7 steps, 90% profit margins.
20% margins, no employees, and over $10 million in revenue.
And now he makes $5,000 just for a single sponsorship blurb in his newsletter. That is the absolute pinnacle of media leverage.
It's incredible. But Justin Roche is a content guy. For the people listening who want to build the AI systems we talked about, the software side, what does the tech stack look like? How do you actually run a 0-employee company day to day?
You need a solopreneur's toolkit. You are essentially replacing corporate departments with software subscriptions.
Okay, let's play this out. Replace the finance department.
Stripe. It handles payments, invoicing, subscriptions, tax compliance. It's your CFO in a box.
Replace the HR and communication department.
Slack for communication, even if it's just with your contractors or your automation bots. And Notion for your SOPs, your standard operating procedures.
And what about the operations department, the people actually doing the routing?
This is the big one. Make.com or Zapier, these are the invisible glue of the internet. They connect all your apps. So when a payment comes in on Stripe, Make.com automatically sends the welcome email, creates the client folder in Notion, and pings you on Slack. No human ever touches it.
And for the actual service delivery, building those AI bots for clients.
You'd use tools like VoiceFlow to build the conversational AI agents and maybe Airtable as your central database. The point is, your entire tech stack costs maybe $500 a month, but it reliably does the work of 5 full-time employees.
You mentioned SOPs earlier, standard operating procedures. It sounds really corporate and kind of boring. Is it really necessary for a solo business?
It is the unsexy secret to actual freedom. You cannot automate a mess. Before you can hand a task to a robot or even a virtual assistant, you have to document it perfectly. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Once it's documented, you have what they call operational alpha. You can plug in a bot to do it.
Or a hybrid VA. The sources mention this concept too.
Right. Sometimes you do need a human in the loop, maybe for complex problem solving or nuanced empathy that AI doesn't have yet. But you don't just hire a random data entry VA. You hire an automation expert VA, someone who knows how to fix the robots when they break. So you aren't managing the daily work, you're managing the person who manages the system.
I see. So you're continually removing yourself one layer at a time from the actual delivery.
Exactly. You engineer yourself out of a job.
We've covered the math, the tools, the strategy, but I feel like the biggest barrier for most people listening is actually psychological. It's terrifying to leave a steady salary.
It is deeply terrifying, and the sources address this psychology of the transition head-on. The first absolute rule is don't jump without a parachute.
This is the bridge phase.
Yes. Don't quit your job tomorrow. That's reckless. Use your current job to fund your transition. Build career capital. Learn the high-income skills like data analysis with Python, digital marketing, sales, negotiation, while you still have a steady paycheck. Essentially, use your employer as your angel investor.
The sources describe this mindset shift as moving from accumulation to distribution.
Right. An employee mindset is entirely about accumulation, saving a portion of your salary over 40 years. An owner mindset is about distribution, building assets that distribute value and cash flow to you continuously. It requires a profound identity shift.
An identity shift, like how you view yourself.
Yes. You have to stop introducing yourself as I am an accountant or I am a marketer, which implies you trade time for money in those roles, and start thinking I am a builder of financial systems or I am an owner of marketing assets.
And to do that, you have to overcome loss aversion.
Loss aversion is the killer of dreams. The fear of losing the steady paycheck prevents the exponential growth of the asset you could build. But you have to realize that the steady paycheck is actually the risky option.
Wait, how is a steady paycheck the risky option?
It's a single point of failure. If you are an agency with 5 clients and 1 leaves, you lose 20% of your income. It hurts, but you survive. If you have 1 boss and they fire you, or the company downsizes, you lose 100% of your income instantly.
Wow. That is a really powerful reframe. The safe path is actually the fragile path.
Exactly. The goal of this entire architecture is to build anti-fragility, systems that get stronger over time, and income streams that are highly diversified.
So let's summarize the roadmap here. We've covered a massive amount of ground today.
Okay, let's recap the journey for the listener. Step 1, understand leverage. Realize that trading time for money is a biological trap. You need code or media leverage to break out.
Step 2, fix your pricing. Kill the hourly rate completely. Adopt value-based pricing. Charge for the result, not the time it takes you to deliver it.
Step 3, productize the service. Don't be a personal chef scrambling to make custom meals. Create a set menu. Package your expertise into a standardized offer to prevent scoop creep.
Step 4, build the vehicle. Use the AI systems we talked about, the speed-to-lead bots, the AI receptionists, to solve painful, expensive problems for boring, highly profitable local businesses.
And step 5, distribution. Use organic content or highly targeted cold outreach to get your specific offer in front of the right people. Test, iterate, and double down on what works.
And what is the ultimate end goal of all this?
The end goal isn't just $10 million in the bank. It's not just a vanity metric. It's designing a life. Justin Welsh didn't optimize for maximum revenue at all costs. He optimized for time, he optimized for freedom and autonomy.
That's the nonlinear prosperity part. It's prosperity defined entirely on your own terms.
Precisely. And I'll leave you with this thought from the research. We often think we need more motivation or bigger, more aggressive goals to succeed. But the truth is, as the expert James Clear often points out, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems.
Ooh, that's really good.
The architecture of your prosperity is entirely up to you. If your default system is trading time for money, you will inevitably fall to that level no matter how ambitious you are. If your system is leveraging code and media, you unlock a completely different reality.
That is a fantastic place to wrap it up. For everyone listening, maybe your first step today is just taking one little bet. Write one SOP, send one targeted cold email, build one tiny automation in Zapier. Start laying the bricks for that architecture today. And honestly, it makes you wonder, if everyone eventually adopts this super individual model, what does a global economy of one-person unicorns actually look like? A hyper-fragmented world of specialized solopreneurs. Something to think about.
The tools are right there. The permissionless leverage is waiting. You just have to pick it up.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you on the next Deep Dive.